key retail indicators for Boone: total taxable sales was up 1.1%. Number of reporting firms also increased. Population slight decreased. Average sales per firm up 0.3, and average sales per capita at 11,847, up 1.5. Total taxable retail sales and number of reporting firms in Boone. The top part of the chart is in red for retail sales, and that's in millions. And the bottom of the chart is the reporting firms, the Department of Revenue. We see in the upper chart in red that in 2004 we had $180 million being spent, and then it's trailed down to 213, 148 million that's been spent. Although since the recession, that's been steadily increasing from 141, 147, 148. Down below in the reporting firms, we see a significant build-up to the recession, and actually we haven't decreased all that much and pretty much maintained. And so I'd say that Boone is recovering pretty well from the recession, probably better than a number of cities. Taxable retail sales per capita is actually the gross sales divided by the population. In 2004, we can see that the red dot there, Boone, is significantly higher than the state of Iowa, represented in the blue dotted line, but it steadily erodes to about the recession and then kind of tracks the recession, although in 2012 and 2013 we've seen an uptick as far as sales per capita. And so my assumption is Boone will continue that trend and hopefully return to where they were back in 2004. Population trends for Boone, as we're using the 2003 population as a point of reference for 100%, and also keep in mind that deviation here is 5%, 5% up, 5% down, and so the chart probably doesn't look as bad as it actually is. In Boone, it's taking the lead as far as drop in population, with Boone County in the dotted line in second place, and then we have the state of Iowa, who's actually increased population of about 5% over 10 years. And so this is a concern. It's not a huge concern because it's a small population trend, but it's one that I'm sure Boone is concerned about as to what is actually happening with these figures. A number of charts in the Retail Trade Report use peer groups to group the cities together. In this particular group, this is peer group number 2, and there are 17 cities in this peer group. We're looking at per capita sales here in population. We see Spencer at 23,000 per capita sales, Carroll at 22, Mason City at 19. And so some of these are some pretty good size retail trade centers. We see Boone at 11,847, and it's actually 13 the 17 cities. What I would use this particular chart for, I would use it to actually compare, take a look at probably Storm Lake and see what they have that Boone doesn't have, and I'd pick a couple of those and filter some of those out, and I'd be happy to do that for Boone to kind of set up some arrangements. But this is the situation, and this is the peer group rankings for Boone's group. The estimate trade area capture, and what we're using is annualized number of shoppers, where we get a group of, or a bundle of retail trade products, and then we divide that into the gross sales, so we can come up with a number of shoppers that are shopping in Boone. And so the solid blue line is actually the population of Boone, and the dotted line is our estimated shoppers in Boone. So you can see in 2004 the dotted line is actually above the solid line, meaning that we actually had more shoppers in Boone than what we had population. And then it dropped down in the recession, and then it's built back up a little bit in 2013. And so this is typically saying that we have surplus where we have shoppers coming into Boone that are beyond their population base. The pull factor comparison within a peer group is actually similar to the last slide we were looking at, but this is a ratio. So the break even of 1 actually means that anything above 1 is you're actually serving people outside your community and bringing them to Boone, and the break even ratio below 1 is where shoppers from Boone are going elsewhere for the retail sales. So in this case, you see the peer median in the blue dotted line is all above, meaning they're a retail trade center. And then in Boone, it does pretty well until the recession, and then it's just steadily increased. But it's still bringing more people into Boone than what they have represented for shoppers in Boone. This is the worker inflows and outflows for 2011 employment. The arrow to the left is employed in Boone and living elsewhere. So this 2,978 people, we're trying to find a way to attract them into Boone so they can fully utilize all the retail assets that Boone has to offer. The second opportunity is the 1,858. Those are living in Boone and they're employed in Boone, and that's kind of where we want them to be. And then the third, the red arrow, the 3,535, they're living in Boone and employed elsewhere, but this is a pretty good workforce that's living or employed elsewhere. So if we can bring some light industry or some entrepreneurship back into Boone, so maybe we can utilize some of that workforce, that would be a big plus for Boone. This chart is showing the neighboring community comparison of per capita retail sales. So each one of these figures is per capita retail sales, and we see Boone in red, and in these neighboring communities we see Ames on top, Boone, Story City, Stratford, Slater, Dayton, and so you can see that in the neighboring communities Boone is doing pretty well and not very far off from Ames, which offers a lot more businesses, but yet the per capita sales is pretty, I'd say pretty similar, within $1,000. As we look at the Boone County profile, one of the components of retail sales is the median household income. So for Boone you see 51,000, for the state of Iowa 50,000, and so this is a pretty good estimate as to why Boone is doing fairly well. Same in the poverty rate. Poverty rate is 9.7. State of Iowa is 12.7. Population is also another component of retail sales. We see Boone on the left-hand side and the state of Iowa on the right. So you can see under 5 years, less than 5 to 17, greater than 18 to 24, less than 25, 45 to 44, less than 45 to 64, more, age 65 and older, more. But what I guess I'd take a look at here is this age 25 to 45. That's usually the area that will build the future for retail sales for Boone, and so that would be probably the area. And there's a lot of components in that area as how to attract those particular people that I'm sure Boone is already working on.